Om Tava Kathamritam Tapta Jivanam Kavibhidiritam Kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Srimadaatatam Bhuvi Grinanti Ye Bhurida Jana. Let us resume our discussion on Sri Ramakrishna's spiritual discourses with his intimate devotees at Star Theatre in North Kolkata, where Sri Ramakrishna went to witness the drama Prahlada Charitra. The life of the king of devotees, Prahlada, who was incidentally the son of a demon, Hiranyakashipu, who was an arch enemy of Sri Krishna. It's a wonderful story you all know. So after the drama, Sri Ramakrishna was brought to the box office, and the Girish Chandra Ghosh and others asked, how did you like the performance? And he naturally extolled the artists, and a discussion followed on bhakti. We all know Sri Ramakrishna was never tired of telling bhakti hi yuga dharma hai. And he said here also, Kolite Narodiya Bhakti, that we have been discussing since last several classes. Sharvada tar naam guno kirtan kora. To repeat the name of God, to sing His glory, always. If always is not possible, as much as possible. So since he has said, Kolite Narodiya Bhakti, so we are discussing the Narada Bhakti Sutras on Fridays evenings. But now he has given a gradation that bhakti does not come all on a sudden. So first there will be some acquaintance. We hear the name of God. And then we develop one-pointed devotion to God, that is nishtha. We focus our attention on God. And nishtha pakle bhakti hai. We discussed in length what is nishtha. Concentrating on one aspect of God. That God is our goal of life. Orientation towards God. And then bhakti, devotion, we have been discussing. Navalakshana bhakti. 9 stages of bhakti. And also each of the 9 stages have been discussed at length. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, Smaranam Padasevanam, Archanam Bandhanam Dasyam, Sakhyam Atmanivedanam. We were discussing on the 8th stage, Dasya Bhakti, culminating into Sakhya Bhakti. Today we will be discussing mainly on Sakhya Bhakti. This we'll discuss in a nutshell, briefly. And again, Thakur is saying Bhakti will then culminate into bhava. There also these ideas will come, panchabhava, bhav into mahabhava. Here we will discuss at length. But now, in a nutshell, we have seen that in Sakya Bhakti, we develop an attitude of friendship with God. Now, the first condition of friendship, feeling of equality, samabhav. So, in the form of Dasya Bhakti, we have seen that Lord is seated above as a Prabhu, Lord, and the devotee as a servant seated below, having an attitude of reverential, respectful love for God. But when that love deepens, then what happens? God brings us to his level and embraces us, as he has done with Hanumanji. लाए सजीवन लखन जी आए असक ही श्रीपति कंठ लगाए. Hanumanji is always kneeling down, but his Lord embraces him out of deeper love. So first condition is the devotee feels equal to God, develops further intimacy, becomes closer to God. When there is master-servant relation, there is a difference. But when there is friendship, there is much closer relation, closer tie, the feeling of oneness. And in a friendship, one important aspect is developing absolute confidence in God. Confidence and confidentiality. When we establish true friendship, he is with us always, at all times. Not only in their times, good weather or bad weather, friend is there always. A friend in need is a friend indeed. That sort of confidence is there. He will never fail me. Whatever happens to me, he will never disown me. He will be always beside me. So not only feeling of equality, but also feeling of confidence. And confidence yields into confidentiality. The friend will never betray me. So here is the great relief on the part of the devotee. We have many things in our mind which we are afraid to disclose to anyone, because these things are absolutely personal. You keep it within. But when you have a genuine friend, then you can confide everything with the friend. There is a great relief. Feel light. Feel हल्का हो जाता है. इसी को दोस्त कहलाता है. So fortunate are those who have been able to have friendship with genuine friends. But it is true that human beings have limitations. True friend, absolutely genuine friend, can be God only. You are 100% sure God will never betray you. Human beings may, because human feelings are there. So when the devotee establishes Sakya Bhakti with God, then he is greatly relieved. He can confide anything with God. He is our greatest friend. Now a question was asked to Holy Mother by one of the devotees. Mother, I have many petty prayers, Kamana Vasana. Can I tell it to God? Can I tell it to Thakur? It is usually prescribed that we should only pray for devotion to Thakur. We should not ask anything else. Now, so the question is asked, but we have many other things in one mind. Any problems in our life? Whom to say? We cannot say to anyone. But Mother said, you can confide everything to Thakur. Who else is there so near to you than Thakur? And he's Antarjamin. He knows everything. Whether you tell or you hide, is in the know-how of your mind. So when you unburden yourself to God through this Sakya Bhakti, then the devotee becomes very, very much relieved and can devote his entire mind for loving God. And he is not loaded anymore. He is free. So this confidence develops, confidentiality is there. Another aspect of Sakya Bhakti is this, that when we develop a loving relation with God, then he becomes a priority. He becomes prior to my demand and my wants. If there is any requirement of my Sakha, of my friend, then I would like to do that first with priority. I may have many urgent requirements, but that is secondary. I have to fulfill by my entire being at any cost. We have to help, we have to please our friend. That is most important. So here we have to understand that when we develop Sakha Bhakti, the relation of friendship with God, then our little self, lower self, gets forgotten. We forget our little self, and the self of the universal self, the self of God, comes in the forefront. By this, attitude of friendship. And that is the goal. All our spiritual practice is aimed at forgetting our little self and thinking of the universal self. So that comes in an automatic way of life, thinking of the friend because of our love for the friend. That covers our lower self and brightens our higher self. That is the benefit of developing this Sakya Bhakti. Now the examples are given. We have also quoted from the Bhagavatam that the Brajavalakas, the cowherd boys in Vrindavan, they had this Sakya Bhakti with Sri Krishna. So Sakya Bhakti means there is oneness. So they used to have so much of, there's no reservation. When a worshipper worships God, so there is an attitude of reverence. But with myself, I have no reverence. So when the Lord is no different from myself, there is no attitude of reverence. That is attitude of oneness, of love. And I love my friend more than I love myself. That is the attitude. This is how the lower self is obliterated. The example is when they used to take a fruit. If the fruit is sour, distasteful, then I wouldn't like it. So they used to taste the food before they would offer it to Krishna, being doubly sure that if it tastes sour, then let me take that suffering, not my friend. He should not suffer. I will ensure that he get the sweet fruits only. So if there is a screening to be done, I offer myself to take that screening, to decide, so that my friend doesn't have to suffer. But in that process, I don't care the formalities. Normally, ये तो फल झूठा हो गया. You don't offer the half-eaten things to God, thinking that it has become impure. There is no question of purity or impurity. Love has covered everything. I am convinced that this fruit is to be good, to be offered to Krishna, no matter whether I have taken a part of it before. And God also accepts it. God takes it with love, with more love, more intimacy. So it is a very sacred relation, the God and the beloved, the Sakya Bhakti. Now, as in the Puranas, epics we have seen, the Vibhishana, Sugriva, Guhak, these are the examples of friendship with the Lord. A short description of the relation can be discussed. later, but each one depicted how they became one with the Lord by developing a relation of friendship. There is no feeling of inequality. They were one with the God. Now, as in the life of Krishna, we saw that Brajabalakas were extremely close with him. It is interesting in the life of Sri Ramakrishna that one of those Brajabalakas came with him in this incarnation in the form of Rakhal or Swami Brahmananda. Though in this incarnation Rakhal played the role of the spiritual son, but in reality he was his eternal companion. You know, Swami Prabhupanandaji has written a book, very inspiring book, Eternal Companion, which is the life and teachings of Swami Brahmanandaji. There it depicts the real nature of Swami Brahmanandaji, who is an eternal friend of the Lord. Let us recall, before Brahmanandaji came to Sri Ramakrishna, he had a vision. He saw in the Ganges there is a floating lotus on which Sri Krishna is dancing with one of his friends, Raja Balak. And the beautiful dance, beautiful music is a charming sight. He was charmed because these are the manifestation of love between two friends. Those are most intimate. And after a few days, when Rakhal came, he saw the same person in the form of this Rakhal. It was Rakhal Chandra Ghosh at that time, young boy. He was a student. He came, and then he was overwhelmed to see that person, which matched with his vision, spiritual vision. Then he asked, "What is your name?" And the answer was Rakhal. Again, he was lost almost in samadhi, Rakhal, because it reminded him. Rakhal is the cowherd boy. It reminded him of Sri Krishna and his divine friendship with the cowherd boys. But later on in the life of Swami Brahmanandi, we see a variety of his performances. He was a spiritual giant and an heir of Sri Ramakrishna's spiritual empire, president of the order. But at the end, again we find that just before his passing away, his role as the spiritual heir of Sri Ramakrishna, Adhyatmik Uttaradhikari, he transferred the spiritual treasure. He held it and transferred to the different branches of this wonderful tree of Ramakrishna order. But toward the end, one day he very joyfully asked Ramlal Dada. Ramlal Chattopadhyay was a nephew of Sri Ramakrishna and was a great friend of Brahmanandaji. He said, please sing a song and dance according to this song. They used to have a very friendly relation. Then Ramlal Dada, first he declined because he was very aged at that time. But he said, no, Ramlal Dada. For a long time I have not heard, but you do it with dance and just for a merriment. Now, then he sang the song and danced. একবার ব্রজে চলো ব্রজের নাতো দিন দুয়েকের মতো. The song is that Sri Krishna played with his friends, Gopikas and Gopa Balakas. And then he went to Mathura. So then these people are singing a song, inviting him back for a couple of days. Just for a couple of days, why didn't you come? It's a deep song of love. Now, everybody was enjoying by his mimicry, by his dance, by his song. But suddenly, Brahmanandaji became very grave. Everything became still. So people became very much alarmed that atmosphere of merry and joyfulness changed into a spiritual silence. Then after that, this attitude continued. Brahmanandaji never came back to the old attitude anymore. From that time onwards, it suddenly flashed in his mind, who is he? He is the eternal friend of the beloved Lord. But that is a conjecture. People thought like that. But he disclosed it for the first time and the last time, just before his departure. It is recorded. He was feeling an experience of oneness with God. But it is through his divine friendship. It was almost his last days, last moment, when someone who felt thirsty put some lemonade water on his mouth. He said, "What it is?" They say, "Lemonade." Then he remarked, "Pour Brahman into Brahman. Everything is one, everything is merged in the love of God." And then he said, "Please bring anklets. I will dance with my friend. Don't you see? He has come. He's touching me. He's calling me. Come away. Let us go back to those blessed experience." And then he said, "Who has come? The Krishna of my Ramakrishna." This is important. Who has come? Who's calling you? Krishna of my Ramakrishna. That aspect of Thakur, that aspect of friendship with Sri Ramakrishna was unknown so far among the devotees. It got revealed. It was hidden so far because of this enactment of a new drama, new play, new role in this present scenario. But in reality, it is the ideal expression of Sakya Bhakti. It's a wonderful relation, the Kamala Kamini, the Sakya Bhakti, as depicted in this pair. Then we find that Arjuna had this Sakya Bhakti with Sri Krishna. We know that Arjuna was his friend, his Sakha, and it is said that Nara Narayan are eternally connected. Now, incidentally and interestingly, in this incarnation of Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Yogananda or Yogin, according to Sri Ramakrishna, was connected with Arjuna. He was Arjuna before. Holy Mother Sri Sharada Devi also confirmed. So he was his Sakha. But in this incarnation, he took a different role to play as the wish of the Master. But in the incarnation of Arjuna, he behaved with the Lord as his dear friend. He sat with him, he conversed with him, slept with him, he made humor with him. Sometimes he abused him without caring for anything else because he never knew that he is God the Supreme. So herein comes a very interesting point between knowledge and devotion. If he knew before, if the knowledge was there, he is the Lord of the universe, then he cannot embrace him. Even naturally, a distance will come. A complex will grow. Inferiority complex will grow. You cannot be equal. So he was together so far. But the moment he had the Vishwarup Darshan, he saw the reality, who his friend was. On the one hand, he could not withstand, and on the other, he felt very, very embarrassed, ashamed that what he has done, how he misbehaved with this person. God never minds, God likes this relation. But when you know the true nature of God, then that Sakya Bhav is difficult to continue. So here, Arjuna says in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 11, verse 42 and 44, that please forgive me. I have done those things inadvertently, not knowing that who you were or you are. Please forgive me, excuse me. God never minds, but we cannot forgive us. So that is the culmination of Sakya Bhav. That Sakya Bhav leads us to the reality of our beloved. There is a song by Rabindranath, Rabindra Sangeet. When you have a friendship relation with God, then we are ignorant of his real nature. And when down the line we realize his real nature, then we become silent. And we realize that it was all done due to our utter ignorance. But that ignorance was a bliss. আমার খেলা যখন ছিল তোমার সঙ্গে, তখন কে তুমি তাকে জানতো? তখন ছিল না ভয়, ছিল না লাজ মনে, জীবন বয়ে যেত অশান্ত। I was restless. I had no fear. I had no shame. I played with you with open mind, without knowing who you are. There was a blessed day of friendship with you. But when the play is over, then we see something else. এখন খেলার শেষে আজ কি দেখি ছবি, স্তব্ধ আকাশ, নীরব শশী রবি। When the play is over, I see a different picture. I see the entire nature is paying tribute to you. So everything is become standstill. তোমার চরণ পানে নয়ন করি নত, ভুবন দাঁড়িয়ে আছে একান্ত. They have fallen to your feet. The, whom I used to have a friendship relation, my friend used to move freely. Then when you realize, see around, then you find the entire universe is falling at your feet. তোমার চরণ পানে নয়ন করি নত, ভুবন দাঁড়িয়ে আছে একান্ত. You stand singular. You are all in all. You are God of all. That my old friend. So that's why this is a very sweet relation. Sweet relation with God. The spiritual life is no more a drudgery, is no more an exercise. It's not regimentation. It's not a ritual. It's an expression of love, natural love. Love is with us. It's natural, spontaneous. Bhakti utilizes the spontaneous nature of human beings. Focus is to God, so that it has become a joyful experience. Spiritual life becomes a joyful journey. To most, it is a very rigorous journey. You have to do so many rituals, so many fastings, so many vigils, so many counts of japa. But here, nothing of that sort. You love God as your beloved. And finally, you come to the point when God reveals himself. খেলার শেষে আজকে দেখি ছবি. When the play will be done, you see him in his own glory. So that is ensured. But nevertheless, the friend wishes to retain that loving bond of friendship. There are examples of many other sincere seers, which we'll take up briefly. Uddhava. Uddhava was in the Bhagavatam, the life of Krishna, who is his friend. The Sridama, Sudama, they're all friends. And also the saints and seers subsequently in Maharashtra had Samarth Ramdas, just as an illustration. In Gujarat, contemporary of Mirabai, Narasi Mehta, they are all Sakya Bhav. Even in Christianity, you find a similar attitude. The friendship, the relation of Jesus and Lazarus. The two sisters, Mary and Martha, and the brother Lazarus. Lazarus had that attitude of friendship, as recorded in the Bible according to John. So these are the various illustrations which we'll discuss in brief and then pass on to the ninth variety of bhakti, Atmanivedan, in our subsequent class. Niranjanam nityam anantarupam bhaktanukampadhrita vai Ishavataram parameshamidhyam tam Ramakrishnam shirasa namami. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Stay safe, stay happy. Thank you. Namaskar.